Hello, everyone. This is a exciting new episode. Call Me Now with Jake and Rachel. Hello, Jake.
Hi.
Hello, Rachel.
Hello.
Hello, Rachel. So Jake
Hey,
and I,
you
hey,
guys.
Goonies. My sister got to see that house. It's actually really cool. Um,
Really?
yes.
Is it a real
I'm like,
house?
yeah, it's a real house. There's a house, I think
Oh,
it's in either Oregon or Washington State. I apologize if I get it wrong, but you can actually walk by it. And yeah, it's the Goonies house. So there you go.
oh,
Learn something new every day. So,
that's cool.
Jake, we have not gotten together in quite some time because we feel that there's a lot of craziness going on in the world, and that's why we haven't been able to connect. Maybe,
We were
maybe
we
not.
were
Maybe
too
there's some,
busy
maybe we're
surfing the
avoiding me.
stars, interviewing the Pleiadians about big astral events.
Yes, we were jumping dimensions and we
Yes.
were teleporting to no, we really as we're joking around, we kind of want to talk about, probably this is really maybe more of a serious conversation, but we're going to make a light note to it, just because
Yeah.
we do want to have a little bit of fun about like spiritual practices, spiritual buzzwords, and maybe how sometimes, is it your imagination? Is it something spiritual that's happening? Is it a mental illness? Like, what's going on? And Jake, I don't know if you want to share about the TikToker that did something crazy, the eclipse. If you don't want to, that's okay. We'll move on.
Yes. No. Okay. So for everybody that's listening, let's cover the recent events. So everybody remembers the eclipse that recently happened. So let me tell you a really quick story about a astrologer that was very popular on the social media platform TikTok for, I would say, like a couple of years, since like
Wow.
quarantine COVID years, all the way up until probably like the last year. She was someone who would give very a lot of people said very valuable astrology information, and there was a lot of people that came forward after the fact and said, "Hey, she was the reason why I started my astrology journey." Like,
Wow.
really disappointing to like see this. Like, this is craziness. So the long and the short of it is that after a couple of recent months leading up to the eclipse, this TikTok astrologer started to really kind of go a little off the rails with her messages and kind of talking about some really far out stuff, and especially about like end of times, like end of the world stuff, like things like
Mhm.
that. Specifically talking about how like the eclipse was supposed to be like the end of the world or something like that. So fast forward to the day of the eclipse. She unfortunately ended up becoming overwhelmed or overtaken by this hysteria, panic, delusion, more accurately, that it was the end of times, that she felt like she was compelled, that she had to do something about it. She actually ended up taking the life of her husband, and herself and her children, later on that day, led on a high-speed chase in California. Like, it was this big thing. And it takes 2 seconds to Google this case. It's
Yeah.
it's really quite sad and devastating for the community. And as jarring as that story is, it really kind of made me take a step back as a teacher and a provider of these kind of things. And I think it really begs the important question of, how do we, in this new age of social media,
Mm.
of accessibility to information, to different platforms, how do we find, number one, personal responsibility and kind of drawing the line of, okay, let's say that maybe I do live my life with maybe some mental illness or maybe
Right.
a proclivity to kind of, extend the truth or something like that. How do I hold myself accountable to be like, okay, what tools and what parameters do I need to put in place to keep myself in check with my messages, with my services, to make sure that I'm delivering accurate information, that the things that I'm experiencing are real, right?
Yeah.
Um, and it's interesting too, because I don't know about you, but I would say like 10 years ago when I first jumped into this field, that was a big conversation, separating,
Yes.
mental illness from spirituality, really kind of discovering like evidential based, forensic based, psychic messages, Akashic readings,
Yeah.
healings, things like that. Um,
Science based.
yes, and it seems like that conversation is kind of like dwindled down, maybe just because other trends maybe have kind of jumped in. Um, And so I think that that's really important for us to talk about today, just for anybody, even, beginners jumping into their path, or even people who have been doing it for a minute. I think it's both really helpful for the newbies and also for the oldies like us who've been doing it for a minute to help kind of guide the new crowd, because you hear a lot of these buzzwords, like what you were saying earlier. We were talking about like jumping dimensions and like Palladians, things like that. When I hear
Sure.
those terms, there's nothing wrong with those two terms, by the way.
Correct.
Let me be
Yeah,
very clear.
you're right.
What lately in my context, when I'm hearing those terms, it's the younger generation online, or the younger generation who are kind of self-teaching or getting their information from people who are not necessarily informed, and are then disseminating that information to other people poorly, you know?
It's almost like, how social media is, and we get a false narrative. Like, let's just look up right now what's going on in the political world. Like,
Yeah.
we have a very um toxic political world right now, especially with the presidential campaign coming up. But what I might be receiving on social media and what you might be receiving on social media is tailored to us. And it's kind of
Yeah.
like Big Brother's watching us. And I feel like if you're somebody who's in a vulnerable position, maybe like I sometimes feel like I can be a little gullible and naive, and I believe what anyone tells me. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, am I trusting my true discernment? Am I trusting my intuition? Am I trusting, myself? Or am I just hanging on every single thing that Jake is saying? Like, do you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And it's like, how does somebody take fact from fiction? How does somebody, okay, like evidential mediumship? This is something that, we talked about before. Like, if I want to go to a medium, do I want somebody who's just going to give me a very blanket medium reading? Like, yes, your grandmother's with you and she loves you and she
Mm-hmm.
misses you. Or do I want somebody like Jake, who will bring me evidence of, okay, your grandmother's really happy that you have her blanket that was, a quilt from 17 generations, and she's so happy you have it. And that to me is like, wow, okay, he's tapping into something, and I'm going to take that message, or am I going to take both messages? Do you know what I mean, Jake?
Right.
Like,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's hard.
And listen, not to say that there's anything wrong with the messages that are like, oh, your
Not at
grandmother
all.
loves you. Those are amazing
And
and
they're
beautiful and
beautiful and they're
healing,
healing. Yes.
especially when they are fostered in a session that has plenty of evidence,
100%.
because then we can confirm that that person is with us here, that we are having that dialogue. And
Yeah.
those messages will hit you differently,
Yeah.
it won't feel so topical.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so
The
geez.
the other thing that I kind of find is that somebody, it's almost like they use their intuition and their spiritual gifts, and maybe this is off topic for what we're saying, is like it makes other people feel bad about themselves. Like, I'm better than you because I can do this. I'm better
Mhm.
than you because I'm intuitive. And it's like, opening yourself up to the universal realm is a God-given gift to every single person that's available for everyone. And if you're trying to make somebody feel less than, that's not using your gifts for good. And I've encountered that a lot recently. That's why I'm kind of saying that. And it's like, what? And it makes me like not even want to come out of my spiritual closet and be honest about, hey, this is what I'm experiencing. Cause I'm like, I don't want somebody to be like, well, she's just being a narcissist. Like, what's going on here? Do you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. And I want to call it the Wizard of Oz effect. The Wizard of
Cool.
Oz effect,
I like
you
that.
know, it is behind this veil, behind this curtain of just verbiage,
Yeah.
behind this curtain of just words, like big, broad stroke topics. And
Ooh.
we're just kind of like cranking them out there. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But I mean, it's just unfortunate because I think that it's important for all of us, especially for people who are doing healings,
Mm.
teachings, things like that, or even if you are leading a solitary practice.
Yeah.
I think that it is number one important to always kind of keep yourself in the loop of new information, always kind of
Yes.
um not necessarily studying, but keeping yourself kind of dipped into the pool of, okay, what's new, what's different, how are the conversations trending,
Yeah.
is there anything misinformation wise that maybe is going around, asking yourself how you feel about the current state of Reiki healing in
Mm.
in 2024, and how people are approaching it, the teachings that are being passed on, or psychic readings, the types of healers that you're meeting, the types of
Yeah.
readings that you're hearing about through clients, how do you feel about those, and how are you reflecting on your personal services, right, to make sure that you are upholding the utmost respect, and that you are upholding, those pillars
Mhm.
of professionalism,
Yeah.
right? um
Integrity.
yeah, but and
Yeah.
also at the same time, like I would invite everybody, like, to not necessarily think of it as a chore to keep reading up on things, to keep staying informed.
Oh,
I think that reading and staying informed on these things is just so fun. It's exciting because this whole life, this whole experience is just an onion, right? We're always peeling back the layers. There's so much more to learn. And I, just being the Pisces that I am, I love to learn more about it, right?
I will say the same thing. Like I'm either consuming, a book, I'm taking a course. Like I am somebody who I've recently, gotten back into Mind Valley, and I'm definitely like, learning like a quantum jumping course by, I think his name is Bert something. And it's like, I did a manifesting course, and it was just an interesting perspective to see their point of view and how they're teaching the subject. And I'm learning and qigong and anything like sound healing. Like I just, whatever kind of, it's like suits my fancy.
Yeah.
I want to enjoy it. And you kind of brought up a good point of how things have shifted and how things have transformed. And do you remember when like the light workers were coming, and then it was like the dark workers, and now it's like, what's going on now? Like, where are we now? Do you know what I mean? Like, remember all that wave of,
Especially because exactly what you just said right there.
yeah,
Think about that right now. Everybody search in your brains. Where are the dark workers and the light workers right now?
where
It
are
fizzled
they?
out.
Yeah,
It
where are
fizzled out.
they? Where are
It was
they?
a half-baked thought process. It was a half-baked, like,
Right.
hype train,
Right.
right? That was being led. And then it just fizzles out. And then the next big thing kind of happens, right?
Yes.
And I think that that's why it's important to, there's a lot of things on the Venn diagram, right, of why this happens, especially, 2024 consumerism is a big thing, of course. People are
Yeah.
releasing classes, information, selling a product, selling a practice,
Mm.
you know. And I think that that's why it's important to, number one, make sure you're vetting yourself, make sure you're vetting your providers, right?
Yeah.
And also, when you are in a session on the receiving end, if you're at a workshop, or you're getting a healing, or you're getting a message circle, or you're getting a reading for yourself, sit there in the session. Of course, be present in it, have
Mhm.
fun with it, but also at the same time, make sure that you're asking questions. Make sure that you
Yes.
are feeling like you're getting validation for your session. I really kind of try to make it a point a lot of times throughout my sessions to check in with people, ask if
Mm.
they have questions, how are they feeling. It's supposed to be a personal inner connection like that. It's not supposed to be just me throwing words at
Right.
you,
We
you
should
know?
have a mutual rapport. We should have
Yeah.
a mutual trust with one another, that what I'm saying to you, it's resonating. And also, like, I'm respecting you as a practitioner to the client. And I'm
Yeah.
not delivering messages that might cause harm or confusion or doubt. Or, it's like we've heard about where people will say, like, oh, you had this past life and you did this and you were a serial killer and you did like this and that, and you bring it into this life and you're working on that. But what does that even mean? Like, what's that's is that beneficial for someone to truly hear that kind of message? Like, what good am I doing as a healer to provide that kind of message?
You know what? That's so funny that you just said that, because it reminded me of something that I just said the other day in a circle when I was talking to everybody. They were just asking questions about, like, um that they would one of the people that were sitting in were
Mm-hmm.
saying that they were kind of like hesitant about reading circles, just because they didn't want anything like too personal to come up, or anything like too vulnerable maybe to pop up
Yes.
too.
Yes.
And I think, and that's a completely valuable point. And I think that that again is coming back into the provider's corner. I always tell people, especially in public circles, that if there is a message that I feel is not appropriate for that setting, or that your peeps do not want to dissect, or to bring in front of the group there, they
Yeah.
will not share it. If
Yes.
anything, if anything quote unquote negative, or anything problematic, stressful, things like that, tumultuous pops up in a session, reading wise, anything. And if you've had a reading with me, I've said this 100 times, spirit will never, with me and you at least,
Yeah.
my client and myself, during one of my sessions, spirit will never bring something up without also having a solution or a perspective,
I love that.
right? Because
Yeah.
what's the help?
It's
What
not
is
help. You're like,
Otherwise we're just
yeah.
doomsday prepping and we're boardwalk psychicking, and
Hey,
that
there could be
doesn't do
some
anything.
excellent boardwalk psychics. Thank you very much.
Friend, and there are
Good for them.
absolutely.
Good for them. That's a Jake saying, everyone. Good for them.
Good for them.
But no, you're right. Like, and it kind of goes to the professionalism of, yes, it's a spiritual practice, and some might think it, woo woo or whatever. But a lot of what I know for Jake and myself, like, we like the science based practices where, they've tested the electromagnetic frequencies. They've tested, there's actual like research that has been done to the work that we do, and there is evidence to back up what we're doing that we can draw on. Like, Jake and I both, come from, like, I'm in the medical realm. He's also in the medical realm. It's like, so we have the science to back up what we're doing. And we also know that we need to check in with ourselves of if, and you said this in the beginning, if we're seeing something, hearing something, witnessing something, we need to check in and say, okay, what is this? What is this? Is this real? Is my Jake's gonna laugh, my retina detaching? Is it a
Listen,
mental illness that's popping up? Am I having a stroke? Like, it's like, we need to check in and truly, you can't just say that everything's a spiritual nuance. You can't, you know what I mean? Does that make sense
yeah.
with you, Jake? Like, I can't put every single thing that I see as, well, this is a spiritual sign.
Yes, just because I think that it's important, because it's important to keep that first principle in mind. Um, oh, God damn it. What is
Do no harm.
discernment?
Discernment. I'm like,
Discernment.
check it out.
Ha! I found it. I found the word. Discernment is like the number one pillar that we should
Yes.
all be looking at our practice through.
Yes.
How we are delivering our messages, what kind of messages we
Mm-hmm.
want to deliver. Are the messages that I'm giving, are the healings that I'm giving accurate? Are they
Yeah.
reaching the other person? Is
Yeah.
there helpful nuggets of wisdom in
Yeah.
what I'm delivering here?
Yes.
Right. And also, I just listen, I just know what I know. I know what I know, and I talk about what I know.
True.
I don't try to be a jack of all trades and talk about things that I don't know. If I feel that you would really benefit from, numerology, or benefit from really exploring your records, I'll tell them, hey, go see Rachel, because I'm
Yeah.
not your gal for that. And I'm good with that.
Same.
But
I'm the
also,
same way. If I'm going to point you in a direction of a psychic or a medium, I'm going to say go see Jake. Like, I'm not those things. Like, you want to go on a ghost hunt? Go get Jake. Like, that's not me. Like,
and listen, I know that a lot of people, especially a lot of like providers like on our end, would not necessarily say this so often, but I am very open and clear with my clients, and I have had probably only a handful in my 10 years of reading for people,
mm,
but I've had a couple people that I really haven't had any messages come through in our session.
yeah.
So I've given their money back. And I'm like,
Yes.
hey, friend, I'm so sorry. We're just not connecting.
Yes.
For no reason, but I
Yes.
obviously don't want to lose respect for anybody's time, or especially money.
You don't try to pull something out
Yes.
if you're not able to connect, and be honest. I will say that my clients, I bet yours do as well. If I am not feeling 100% or something's off, I will message my client, say, I'm really sorry, this is just not going to click. Like, I'll even do it if I'm doing an interview, like, I'm not 100% and I'm sorry. And I
Yeah.
think people will respect, one, I'm being authentic and I'm not going to take advantage of someone. And the same
Hmm.
thing with you. Like, you're like, hey, it's just not clicking. And that's okay. It's okay. We're not going to click with every single person in the world. There's billions upon billions of people. We're not for everyone.
Exactly.
Like, think
Right.
about it. I'm sorry, this is a really small topic, but think about how many people are in your world and how many more people you could get in your world. Like, and I'm like, but I vibe with you. Like, it's so interesting how that actually kind of works when you think about how many people are in the world and you're
Yeah.
in my realm. Like, it's weird.
No, it is really
Thank you,
cool,
Jake,
because
for being in my
especially like,
realm.
thank you for being in my realm, or am I in your realm?
we're
or
in
you
each
in my
other's
realm.
realm. They're
And
they're meshing. That is something that we could bring to science. Like, go ahead.
yeah, I think that's really cool. Exactly. So like you with good intention, you will find the people that are right for you, provider
Yes.
wise, customer wise, client
Yes.
wise. Um, and that's just one of those like fun little like idiosyncrasies, which is like why you'll be in a workshop or why we'll be in a group setting doing maybe group messages, things like that, and we find that similar messages are coming up between the
Yes.
attendants who don't
Yes.
even know each other. I
Yes.
think that that just kind of speaks for the fact that like when it's right, and the right people kind of attract at the same time for the same reason.
I agree.
um yeah, which is, so it's really
It's interesting when you really think about like who's actually who you've encountered in your life and who's like it's like what is that saying? Like some people are in there for a day, some people are in for a season, some are in for a
a
lifetime, and
reason
it's
or a season.
thank you. It's so true though. But let's go back to the beginning of we were kind of talking about how maybe sometimes spiritual practices may really lead people down a dark path where they
Yeah,
may commit harm to themselves or commit harm to others. And where is the line between spirituality and is this mental illness or something medically going on? And how do you check into yourself to determine what's up?
yeah. I mean, I'll really only speak from my personal experience
Yeah.
and kind of let me try to remember back in my day how I did it.
Back in my
Uh,
day. And how you probably
I
still do it now sometimes.
Yes, I think it's number one. That's why it's really important to have a personal practice,
Mm,
to have time in your personal life to decompress, meditate, have a moment to reflect, have
yeah.
some time to just have yourself check in,
Yeah.
say, okay, what's going on? Am I in the right space to hold this right now? To have this kind of work going on, to accept clients, blah blah blah. And or am I feeling like the temperature is a little bit too hot right now? I feel a little bit overstressed. I
Yeah.
feel like I'm kind of leaning a little bit into the dark and stormy weather of the brain.
It
Which listen,
happens. It
everybody has it,
happens. We
especially
do.
me.
We
Yeah,
do.
and it's okay to take our spiritual vacations from that. I
Yeah.
think it's necessary. Um, for me at least, I can find that, every I would say probably like every couple of months, I will take a break from doing sessions
Mm,
just because I think that it can get easy to really get ungrounded.
I agree.
And I find that sometimes I will prioritize sessions, healing work, things like that over my mundane life, you
Yeah.
know? And then, so again, checking in with yourself, making sure that we're keeping things in balance, right?
Yeah.
But I also think at the same time for, if we are starting to do sessions for people or we're offering a service, I really enjoyed, I thought it was really cool. And a lot of the teachers from when I started really enforced the idea of kind of having like case files, case studies, right,
Yes.
on your clients that you're reading
Yes.
for, writing down what kind of messages came forward, taking a
Yes.
look at that after the fact and saying, okay, what kind of messages popped up? Did I feel like I was delivering evidence in the session? Was I meeting the ultimate goal of the
Yeah.
session? And did I meet the needs or the wants of the query? Right?
Yeah. That's so, so important. I will say that I do, and even if you're doing your own solitary work, like if you're going in and doing meditative practices, or maybe you're going into your records, or you're doing candle work, whatever it is, like maybe just taking a journal and really like writing down, okay, these are my impressions that I received from this. And then going back maybe a couple months later and be like, okay, yeah, that did make sense. Okay. I
Yeah.
was, I was spot on there. Oh, maybe that was a little wonky. I don't know. Like, and I do take notes, and I like you every single session I have notes on, and
Mhm.
it's like, oh yeah, this was really good, and this maybe I wasn't 100% that day, or and I like you too, I will take time off from doing my spiritual work. I'll take time off from doing sessions, from healings, from teaching, from doing interviews. Like I'll take some me time, go back to nature, go spend time with my family and friends, go have margaritas and chips and dip with Jake. And
Yes.
like, you know what I mean? Like, go have some fun, break up that
Yeah.
energy. And also another thing is that I do have wonderful spiritual practitioners such as Jake and other people that I can tap into and be like, I don't know if this is real. Like, and
Mhm.
I legitimately have texted that to Jake and be like, I think this is full of shit. And he'll be like, maybe it is. Like it just, and that's okay. Like it's okay to be honest with oneself. And as a practitioner, it's okay. Like if you're inviting that permission and asking them, hey, do I need to maybe go see a medical professional, or is this something in the spiritual realm? And I'm going to appreciate what they're saying, but I'm also going to trust discernment and my own self and say, okay, Rachel, maybe it's time to just go to sleep. Like
Right.
maybe it's time to take a break. Like, what do you think?
Exactly.
What do you think,
I
Jake?
completely agree. Like, listen, I in the past couple of months, I've been having some issues with medical issues with
Yes.
headaches, migraines, things like
Yeah.
that. I recently found out that I may or may not have a little bit of glaucoma in my left eye. So the reason why I'm sharing that is because it impacts your peripheral
It
vision,
does.
right? So meaning that not every shadow I see out of the corner of my eye is one that has to be spoken for when I see it, unless maybe I see it again and it has something to say.
Yes. Good
Uh,
point.
or I feel something coming from that, or I feel it as an energy. Not
Yeah.
every single thing that you see, because listen, our brains are very fascinating creature, are very fascinating mechanisms.
You can
And
make up a lot of stuff.
when we're under stress, it can create narratives, it can create things
Yeah.
that makes things easier, right? That makes things a little bit more accessible. Um, so that's why it's important to the first number one rule is to know
Yes.
yourself and to check in, know your limitations, and understand what conditions you're under at the current moment.
Absolutely. I would say number two is to really look at the source from where the information is coming from.
Yes.
So if somebody is on TikTok and they're talking about the end of the world, like I will say that I saw a lot of people talking about the end of the world with eclipse coming up. And it was
Mm-hmm.
like, guys, what is
Yeah.
going on here? Like it was like, and it was almost like, and I don't like things that are fear based and like that fear mentality. And I think if something's coming from a fear based, really check into that before you jump into that well. Like really check into it. If things are, coming from a place of service and love and true, humanity for others, then maybe that's a path you want to go down. But leave that other crap at the door, you
Yeah.
know?
Exactly. And I think that a lot, and again, a lot of this stuff is easier said after the years of experience that
Yes.
both of us have the gift of
100%.
having.
Yeah.
Um, Wait, what was I just gonna say?
Probably about things that are, and I'm sorry, Jake, I'm hijacking your thought here. Another thing, it's like I was thinking about like I really think that people that are charismatic and really have that wonderful personality to suck you in,
Mm,
like, and maybe you don't realize what they're doing, and maybe they can be manipulating you. Like, let's think about excellent salespeople, okay? Like,
mm,
yes, I will go buy that car. Like, it's like people that are excellent at their craft, maybe take it apart a little bit and what is underneath that layer. Is it good? Is it something of for me, of good intent and of my highest intentions? Like, because I do feel like, I'm sorry, Jake, again, I'm hijacking more thoughts. It's like when you go into a cult. Did you watch that TikTok special about that 7M and the dancers, and and how the family, like the one guy, he won't allow you to talk to your family, but they're online now saying we're not a cult, but they've done sexual abuse, financial abuse, like, pulling away from your family. And it's like, what's real here and what's not? He has not seen it by his face, but I recommend it's on Netflix. And it's like,
is this one where it's like 20 people living in an apartment together?
yes, I think it's part of that. And I think now, but one of them like got married and like that they wouldn't go to the sister and the family, but then when they would go online, they weren't allowed to talk. But really all it is, Jake, is they're Christians, and they're just giving their life to God
Yeah.
while giving this man all of their money and everything else. So
Yeah.
I think people that are in a vulnerable state and looking for meaning or looking for purpose, people prey on those individuals. And I do think it's easy to get sucked into things such as a cult or maybe an abusive relationship. Maybe, I give my money to the people that are online saying I have a curse on me and pay me $7,000 if you want it removed, but yet has never had a conversation with me. Like,
Yes.
sorry, go ahead, Jake.
Oh, wait, I
I
think
went off on a
okay.
tangent.
I think I remembered what my
Okay,
thought was.
perfect.
Yes. Okay, brings me to my point. And I feel like we've probably said this on past
Probably
episodes.
have.
Um, very seldom is there ever anything that is very urgently uh um ominous and impending doom. Uh
Yes.
and when I say seldom, rarely ever, right? So, and that's not to say that, we all have traumatic events that we are healing from. Maybe we do have things that are severely impacting our current day right
Yes.
now, energetically, blah blah blah. That's all very real things, but take a step back and
Yeah.
ask yourself, do I feel like I'm in an episode of Supernatural right now? If the answer is yes, we have to go back to square one, and
Yes.
we have to check our bases. Number one, like, if unless you are being snatched out of your bed by a demon in the middle of the night, number one, go check and see that all of your doors and windows are locked. Then maybe let's have a conversation about maybe some paranormal activity.
Yes.
But let's not get sucked into that kind of, like, because listen, fear is a very easy sales tactic,
It 100% is.
and
Yes.
very often
Why do you
fear.
think horror movies are so popular? Why is Dateline so popular?
Absolutely. But that's also the important kind of thing too, that there's two branches that I notice in spirituality that are sales tactics: fear and love.
Oh, yes. Love
Fear
or
and love.
love or
Yes. When they're really laying it on thick either way. Um,
yes.
yeah, I think that it's okay to be a little bit more scrutinous and to ask
Yes.
questions,
Yes.
and to also take your time before coming up with a conclusion. You know,
Yes.
I feel like there's still several things in my personal practice that I have, number one, changed my opinion on over the years, and number two, that I'm still not quite sure what the answers are, or quite sure about where I necessarily stand on certain things. And
And
so I'm taking my time to learn that.
I agree with you. And I think also as a spiritual practitioner, it's okay to pivot.
Yeah.
It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to be like, this no longer resonates with me. It's okay to be like, yeah, I was trained in this modality, but it's something I don't use anymore. Like, it's okay
Yes.
to evolve into, as a human being living in a world, it's okay to evolve and it's okay to pivot. And I think sometimes we get stuck in boxes as spiritual practitioners, the light workers, the dark workers, the law of attraction workers, the I'm going to find your twin flame workers, it's okay to be your face. It's okay to be ever evolving for what
Hmm.
you need as a being and also what your clients need. What I did 10 years ago is not what I'm doing now. It's
100%.
really changed and evolved. Anything else you want to add in before we close up our episode?
No, I think that that was a really great point to end it on. I think that we should always stay open to having our mind changed and being
Yeah.
shown a different perspective, and to
Yes.
learning something new, because we are not the end all be all. We are just human. And at the end of the day, for all of our listeners, these abilities, these gifts, the capacity to heal and receive information from spirit, every single one of you listening, and get very close to the microphone when you are listening to this. Every single one of you have the ability to do that for yourself. Not a person on this earth is singular to that fact. Um, and I
All you have
will
to do is go N word.
exactly. No one will ever tell me otherwise, and I will never stop singing that to the rooftops. So it's what?
And
My
what he's
coffee just
saying
ran
is
out.
you have all the power that you're looking for, all the wisdom that you're looking for, all the guidance that you're looking for is within. You just have to be willing to go within, go inward,
Yeah,
get still and listen. That's it. Thank you, Jake.
exactly. Thank you, Rachel.
All right, till next time.
Till next time, bye.
Bye.